Welcome to the third episode of enchitchat show. Today we're already glad to be hosting a professor who's majored in language teaching. Thank you for accepting our invitation, dear doctor.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I was wondering if you could tell us more about you.
Well, first I would like to thank enchitchat for inviting me here.
You're welcome.
It's a great chance. I've been teaching English for 25 years or more than that, since I was very young.
Welcome.
Because I studied in an international English school abroad. So that was actually my English is rooted from there. Then I studied English translation studies, and then for MA I studied language teaching, and for PhD also language teaching. And I've had a lot of experiences in teaching youngsters, teaching adolescents, young people and adults. And now I teach at universities, and I've had a great, actually, would you call it? I've had a mingle of experiences with different age groups in language teaching.
So today we're here to talk about who is a more qualified teacher, what are the characteristics of a good teacher, and finally we'll be talking about the requirements of being an ESL teacher. So doctor, what makes it a good teacher in your point of view?
Well, a lot of scholars have talked about this, like Jeremy Harmer, for example. And it's interesting actually to tell you that my thesis was on this subject too.
Great.
I've developed a model for being an effective EFL teacher in Iran, actually. As I told you, a lot of people have worked on this issue, and they have mentioned criteria for being an effective EFL teacher. But now you might be familiar with them, but now I want to talk to you of my own experience.
Yeah, right.
All right. It might some part it might cope with the with what other scholars have told, and some of them might not. In fact, to me, an effective teacher is a teacher with vision.
Yeah, right.
Well, I have to define this vision. Like Kumara Vadivelu says some things, maybe my ideas are close to him, but actually I want to tell you that a teacher without vision can never be a good EFL teacher. Some teachers are copycats. They just imitate they copy models, but they're not as effective as maybe some creative teachers.
Right.
So I think that you might ask how this vision how this vision comes. Where does it come from?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Before we start about the vision, what is the vision? Okay, can you give us a definition of what vision is?
To me, vision is the judgmental feature.
Yeah, right.
To be able to decide, to be able to do something, you know, at the right moment.
Mm-hmm.
That is called vision, in my opinion. Of course, we have content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge. A teacher must have all these, you know, kinds of knowledge.
Right.
He or she must equip himself or herself with these kinds of knowledge, but it's not enough. It's not sufficient. You have to have that vision. Some people, you know, might be very knowledgeable, very good at English. You know, I know a friend who has been living in the United States, has attended school there, lived for 18 years, but to me, he's not a good teacher because he doesn't have that kind of vision, I don't know, judgment, understanding. That's how I put it.
You know, he doesn't have the ability of transmitting the knowledge he's got in the back of his mind.
It's not just a matter of transmitting, you know. Transmitting is just one aspect, okay? To me, I think it's a kind of judgment and understanding.
Right.
For example, when I enter the class, I should be able to visualize the situation, the background of the students.
Right. Yeah.
What is going? Even the society.
Well done.
Even a hot news in the society, something that has happened and has affected all the students. So you must take all these into consideration. That makes a good teacher. Yeah, I could just tell you that a good teacher is a person who actually is competent in all skills, okay, who can communicate well, you know, these cliches.
Yeah.
But and you know, it's not an easy task to teach or educate teachers with that vision and judgment and that kind of understanding.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Can you just tell us about the characteristics of a language teacher specifically?
I told you, you know, we have content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge. A good teacher should be equipped with the content knowledge. It means that he or she should equip himself or herself with knowledge of the skills.
You know, Doctor, I'm talking about the first and foremost idea of being a good teacher. What is the ultimate idea of being a good teacher?
Ultimate one, I think a teacher who knows English, who knows about English, and someone who knows how to teach well, okay? And a teacher who understands the situation and can judge well at the very moment.
Yeah, right. So another question in my mind is, do you think a good teacher has to study at university to get degrees to be a good teacher?
Not necessarily, but I think a good teacher should equip himself and herself with the recent knowledge.
The recent knowledge, right?
On language teaching. You know, not equipping yourself with knowledge, okay, you might actually mislead yourself and the students into a path, okay, that might be wrong. You know, because scholars, teachers have proved some good ways, some better ways actually to follow. If you don't want to follow them, you have to choose something superior, better, not just something subjective, something by. But what I mean by judgment is not that you never study and you go based on your instincts. No, not at all. I mean that even when you have enough knowledge, okay, even when you have enough knowledge, you might not have the capability to judge or to understand the context and situation.
So, what do you suggest for a person who is not interested in studying at university, so he wants to get the language teaching right outside university? What do you suggest for him doing?
First of all, I suggest him or her to study the preliminaries of language teaching.
Right.
And then that person should start trial and error in language teaching. Maybe, I don't know, in preparation classes, TTC classes could be very helpful. And one thing that I do suggest is pondering and thinking and evaluating yourself after you have started teaching. For example, today I have a class, a 2-hour session. After the class, I have to review what I've done.
Right. Yeah.
And think about it.
Evaluate.
Yes, jot down what I have done and try to improve what you've done.
Right, doctor. I'm going to ask you about the ESL teachers. Who is an ESL teacher, by the way?
Well, as you know, ESL stands for English as a second language.
Yeah, right.
By second language, generally we don't mean just the countries that have the second language like India. No, we generally mean like foreign language. That is the general concept of ESL. So by ESL we mean that we are teaching people whose background knowledge, whose background language is not English, and who are not very familiar with English, and the context of English is not that bold.
Yeah, right.
In their society, is not very bold.
Right. So what are the requirements of being an ESL teacher?
Well, first of all, you have to know the language. All right. Some people say being a native speaker, non-native speaker. I reject all these things. A non-native speaker might be much more successful than a native speaker,
yeah, right.
or vice versa. But to me, an ESL teacher must be familiar with the characteristics of language learning, language teaching, language students, and must equip himself and herself with the content knowledge and also the pedagogical knowledge, which is the knowledge how to teach the language, how to teach, for example, English, and even a language teacher, an ESL teacher should be a critical teacher, somebody who looks at things critically. That is very important.
Right, Doctor. Thank you very much for the nice words, Doctor.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Dear followers, I hope we all will make the most of what has been said by Doctor. Don't forget to think about judgment, vision, and to be a critical teacher, by the way, and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. To the next episode. Godspeed.